Good day, and everyone. I want to thank our sponsors for today and this week. Eric and Salavine, the Elin Shmatzel's father, Yitzchak Meir ben David Halevi. Oliver Shalom was Yartzeit is today. The Neshama Shabbat Aliyah. I thank our weekly sponsors, Gila and Yitz Stern, as a schut for Shlema for Nissen Halevi ben Tova, Shem Yishmer v'Chaskeu. Thank our weekly sponsors also, Marsha and Lee Weinblatt, Elishmat Marsha's sister, Jerry Turkel, Gittel Bat Chaim Yisachar, Allah Shalom's eighth yahrzeit is on Shabbat, Chav Chet Tevet, and Elishmat Lee's mother, Chavariva Bat Aaron Yosef and Bracha, whose second yahrzeit is on the ninth of Shvat. And thank also our monthly sponsors, Chaya and Yoel Fuld, Elin Shmat, their son Hillel, Olav Shom and Yoel Yaakov She Yichye. So there's an interesting profile in at Nachta from a few weeks ago about Yoshua Shani. Should live and be well. The one of the founders of the Forum Gvura, the fathers of and mothers of soldiers killed in battle who want a strong hand against the government. His son Uri Shani was killed in battle almost 2 years ago, and he was the youngest of seven children. Grew up in Kiryat Arba, and he had a very interesting spiritual odyssey. He was just a thinker, and he went through many different stages in life. Unfortunately, he was very young when he died, killed with a young child and a young wife. But on his religious observances or commitments will also fluctuate from time to time until one time he comes home with payout out of the blue. It didn't last long, but it was strange to his parents. Although they didn't say anything, they were used to his sort of maverick ways. And after he died, they found a diary that he wrote that really documented his spiritual progression and regression, but towards the end, of course, progression. And he wrote in his diary, Azlama Peyot. Why did he grow Peyot all of a sudden? And he continues that Yadua Shachitzoniot lo bemet milamedet ala pnimiyot. We know that the externals don't always indicate truthfully what's going on inside a person. In fact, the externals are often used to hide what's going on inside. It's a disguise. Aval hi behechrech mashpia. It certainly influences what's going on. Gidalti peyot lo kini tzaddik adol. I grew peyot not because I'm a great tzaddik, el kadesha peyot yisayu li v'yazkiru li efo ani rotze liot mibchinat tarnid. But it reminds me of where I want to be. I may not be there, but as long as I have that symbol on the outside, it's going to influence on the inside. And of course, this is what the Sefer Chinuch wrote, the acharei peulot nimshacha levavot, that the heart follows deeds. The more we do something good, like Rambam says, the more we give tzedakah, the more charitable we become and feel, etc. So he used this as a symbol, not that it says anything about a person's spirituality, but he used it as a symbol. And truth be told, it makes it maybe a little more difficult to sin because you just look so Jewish. Yarmulke you can take off, but payot it's not easy. And so it had that positive influence on him, and then he got himself back to where he wanted to be. It reminded me of a few statements of Chazal, like the Gemara says in Chagiga, when Rabbi Yochanan would come to this pasuk, he would cry, "Hein b'kedoshav lo yamin," a pasuk in Iyov, that God doesn't even trust His holy ones. And he said, if He can't trust His holy ones, whom can He trust? And the Medrash says a number of things that Ilu Yada, if these people had known that the Torah, the Tanakh would record their deeds for posterity, they would have gone out of their way. Like in last week's Sedra, Moshe, God tells Moshe that Aaron, your brother, is going to come out to see you. He will see you, and in his heart he'll rejoice. So it sounds positive. In fact, Chazal say a number of times that because Aaron was internally happy, that's why he was zocha to the Urim Tumim, and that's why the Choshen Mishpat, etc. Because he was internally happy. It's easier to display happiness than it is to feel it. You could fake it. It's good to fake it, by the way, but he, he didn't have to fake it. He just thought it was natural. He was happy that Moshe is coming back. And yet the Medrash says, if Aaron knew that the Torah would record with Samach Belibo, he would have greeted Moshe betupim cholot, with drums, with dancing, with music, with a band, an orchestra. After all, he hadn't seen his brother for 60 years. So he would have had a much more effusive reaction. It doesn't really speak to what's going on. But on the other hand, how much does the Torah expect from us? It's, I would think it's even better that he was internally rejoicing, even though he could have said, Moshe, he was away. We're suffering here, and he's living up in Midian. No, he was genuinely happy that Moshe was coming back, and as the Moshean Shel Yisrael, as the one who would take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Is it a high standard? Yes. Can we always meet that standard? No. So Rabbi Yochanan cried, but on the other hand, I think this is the point that Uri Shani, Hashem Kom Damo, is leaving us. We can't always reach the high standards that we have. But if we don't have high standards, if we don't shoot for the top, we'll never get anywhere. We're sentenced to a life of mediocrity, a life of complacency. Yes, and not everyone has to grow payouts. It's very individual. But nonetheless, the fact that he saw this as a catalyst for what he wanted to be, the fact that he saw this as the goal, at least, not the goal in terms of externals, but the goal in terms of internals. As long as we have standards, we're on the right derech, the right path, and we'll continue to do what's necessary, indispensable, imperative in life every day. Grow in Avodat Hashem. Have a good day.